So, Kris, thank you very much for accepting to work with me in this interview. And as I shared with you, I'm working on a book. The book came out in Spanish, but for the English version, I come up with more stories about leaders sharing their experiences. So I appreciate you accepting my invitation. So, do you want to introduce yourself briefly, who you are and what you do, and so people can get the context?
Sure. Well, I mean, thanks for this opportunity. I mean, I hope to continue to learn from you. I appreciate everything that you've done, for me and my organization. But yeah, Kris Klinger. I work at Boston University. I'm the vice president of auxiliary services. Basically, we oversee the housing, the dining, transportation, bookstore, the arena, and a few other services that the university provides to the students, staff, and faculty here at Boston University. Before joining Boston University, I was at Syracuse University doing the same thing. And then before Syracuse University, I was doing the same thing at the University of Southern California. So I'm doing this for almost 20 years now.
Hmm. Great to have you here and being able to explore together some of the challenges of leadership. So the book is about leaders who apply coaching skills to their work, and you have been trained as a professional coach, so you do have more skills on more coaching skills than an average leader. So the question is, how do you use the skills? How do you apply your coaching skills working with your direct reports? How do you work in developing them?
Yeah, give me one second. I'm going to close my door. I'm
Yeah.
going to answer your question. Some people just popped by. So, but yeah, that's a great question. I mean, utilizing the coaching skills, to lead. I think it's really interesting, Damian. After I spent some time taking, the first class I took from you on coaching, on the coaching training, I really recognized the value of the coaching mindset and approaching, individuals, in an inquisitive, supportive manner, as opposed to dictatorial, telling them what to do and how to do it. My style, for the most part, there's a couple different leadership philosophies. There's command and control, which is the old school way of thinking and leading, where basically you tell people what to do and how to do it, and then they do it, and they do it well, and some do it really well, but because that's how they're wired. But my preference is the trust and inspire, where I hire good people, I provide them with the tools and resources that they need, and then I support them along the way, with resources and also with coaching, and nudging them, so that they are able to excel at what they're doing, and they have that ownership stake, within what they're doing, and they take responsibility for it, and then that also trickles down to the next level and the next level. So you've got a group of individuals that are bought in and want to do as much as they can to support the mission, vision, and values of the organization and the initiatives associated with that. So.
In terms, if you can think of a specific example of somebody that you coach, and as a result of your coaching, the person grow, develop, got results. Can you think of anybody over the years?
Wow, there's a lot, to be honest with you, and it was interesting. An example. I'm not sure if Jeff Miller went through your program or not. I know he did some of the
Yeah.
coach leaders, the coach
Yes, he did. I remember
manager
him.
training.
Yes.
But he was an individual, that a wonderful person. Actually, he retired recently and sent me a long email thanking me for supporting him and finding the right position for him to excel in at USC. But I mean, he's just one of the many examples where he was cast in an interesting position, and also seen a certain way. So I stepped back a bit to look and see where his strengths lied, um, and and then looked at what he was doing, and created a position because we had that opportunity, and it's not always the case, right? Sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, but I was able to create a position and put him in an opportunity where he was able to leverage, his skills and his strengths and his talents to support the university, and it really, skyrocketed and took off. And I spent a good amount of time early on coaching and mentoring and developing him and providing him with some of the framework that we were looking for, and then let him take off, and he did an amazing job, and ended up getting promoted a couple of times, and the position started within hospitality services, and it ended up evolving into all of auxiliaries. So really, really, unique opportunity, and it's one of the many. It's probably a bigger win, more of a home run than the singles and doubles that you get as you coach people and nudge them along the way and ask questions. But it's been a lot of fun.
This is a great example where you could align what was important for the person or what were their strength to a position that match that experience. So sometimes the challenge is when people have jobs that they are not matching their strength, and that can be challenging.
Oh, yeah.
So as a leader, what have been challenging situations in regarding ethics? One of our chapters is about ethics. Can you think of an example where it was an ethical challenge for you as a leader, or somebody working for you that you were coaching that had to deal with an ethical issue? How do you manage that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, recently we just developed our mission, vision, values for auxiliary services here at Boston University, and that's one of the reasons for that was to create that framework, and that the filter, that we could make decisions through, and if there's an unethical or immoral decision being made, that it exposes it, and we avoid going down that path or that direction. And I think, I look at, not here at Boston University, but, the past school, there were definitely misalignments that were occurring. And I think some of them were based on, you know, during COVID and then post COVID, and all of the challenges people were facing because of the unknown and the uncertainties. But we still had a job to do. The students were still coming to school every day. They were still expecting what they were expecting, but people were not willing or able to do some of the things that needed to be done for them on a regular basis. So we ended up having to step in and do some of those things. And one example, and I guess I'm not sure if it's unethical, but we had to displace 600 students that were coming back for the second year at school. They're going to be sophomores. They were freshmen with us, and we had to move them into different spaces because we needed to provide the spaces that they had been assigned to incoming freshmen, because they were more freshman friendly spaces, and dealing with the parents and the students and the administration in regards to how to navigate that. There was a certain way that people thought we should do it, and it really, I mean, unethical is part of it. It just inhumane, probably would be even more so in regards to, we've got to make sure we meet these people where they're at and provide them with, the kind and tender, hearted, empathetical approach. But I mean, I'm not. That's not a great example. I think as far as the ethics goes, though, you know establishing the mission, vision, values, and then having your own ethics and your own values obviously is important. I believe that leaders should share those with each other, and they should be somewhat shared within the organization. And then we've used those in the past as filters when we are making decisions, whether it is deciding where to spend money, on an investment, building something new, or replacing it, renovating, or whatever the case may be, creating new positions, because the challenge is in all environments, but particularly in higher ed, resources are finite. You only have so much money, and there's a bunch of folks out there looking for a piece of that dollar so that they can spend it on the things that they want to spend it on. So, it is filtering it through, making sure that people understand why it is important and what needs to be done. Then getting that buy-in. But I do think, I'm going to go in one other quick direction. When I first got here, the leader that I replaced was a command and control leader. I believe the difference between my style and my predecessor style leads to people making more ethical decisions, because I'm not busy telling them what to do and how to do it. I'm asking them what they think and how they think they should do it. And we've established the values that are underlying those decisions. So people are more often likely to go with the ethical decision or go the ethical route as opposed to the unethical route, because it now falls on their shoulders as opposed to somebody else's shoulders. And I think when you take that ownership ethically, and you have those values, and you allow, you coach that out of folks or through folks, or you provide them that coaching environment experience, they're going to make more ethical choices because they have the choices, they have the wherewithal, the agency to make those choices. And when you don't have agency, you're more likely to do things that others are telling you to do. And potentially then you can just say, well, so-and-so told me to do that, as opposed to I chose to do that because it was the right thing to do. So I know one in a couple different routes. I think the
No, that's
last one
great. No,
probably,
I appreciate this because these are very interesting points. By clarifying the foundation of the values and principles, people can use that for guidance, and the element that you are bringing about responsibility, being accountable for our own decisions is different when we don't feel that we're doing that. Other element of being effective leader, being able to coach your people, is building trust. And I know you over the years, you're becoming very effective in doing that. What do you do to build trust with your colleagues?
it's interesting. Ted Lasso just I think they stopped showing a couple seasons ago, but one of the comments that he would make is be curious, not judgmental. And I think that that's the piece, Damian's going through life and being curious and asking questions, and being sincerely interested in other people, is how I approach it. It's being that leader that reaches out first. I just, before you and I got on a call, someone had forwarded me a positive comment on one of our line level employees. So I found out what their email address was, and I sent them an email and copied a whole bunch of other people that obviously they work for this individual, and just to praise them and respect them. But I do think that people want to be acknowledged and seen. They want to just be seen, and you can acknowledge them just by reaching out to them and spending time with them. And one of the first things that I did when I arrived here at Boston University is spent uh, almost every lunch and most mornings over coffee, meeting as many people as I could meet, and getting to know them and asking them how I could serve them. And then I've been here for almost 2 years now. I spend almost every lunch, I had lunch again today with someone, had coffee this morning, connecting with individuals and talking to them on a personal as well as a professional level, to get to know each other, but also to find ways that we can help and support each other. And I think that personal connection has made a big difference for me in what I do and my leadership style and the type of leader that I choose to be in.
Great. So that takes a lot of time in terms of investing, but also you probably get the results from that,
Yeah.
the benefit for your investments in time and energy. To start wrapping up, Kris, in terms of your philosophy of leadership, you already shared a few things. Anything else that you have not shared yet in terms of what is in your mind when you're working with your colleagues, you're developing them, working with them? What else is in your mind in terms of doing to be the best leader for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that curiosity that I shared earlier is extremely important, and, you know, always looking for ways that how we can improve things, you know, for, you know, each other, for ourselves, for the organization, for the community, for the world. Um, you know, I do, you know, we just developed our mission and vision and values. Um, and, you know, my mission, personal mission, has always been to improve the lives of the people that I work with. So I'm always looking for ways to positively enhance their lives in big or little ways. Um, and part of that requires me paying attention, you know, listening and spending time, you know, looking for those opportunities, but also creating an environment where other people are doing the same thing, because I can only do so much. I'm only one person. But if I can, you know, multiply that over 10, 20, 100 thousands of people, um, then we're making a big impact on the world and helping people make a better life for themselves, you know, as they make a better life for others. And it's reciprocal, you know, and if you approach it in a manner where I want to help others first, and put others first, you'll typically, you know, get twice as much out of that than if you put yourself first, and then put others second. And I know that sounds very counterintuitive, but there's a lot of, you know, science and um, philosophy behind it that really ties into, you know, the humans and the beings that we are and how we show up, and how it really makes a big difference if we're trying to help others, more than helping ourselves. So that's, I think, a big part of what I do, Damian, and how I approach, you know, what I do. You know, and some days are better than others, obviously, but it's worked well for me.
I want to thank you, Kris, for taking the time to share with us your wisdom, your experience. Any last word, anything else you want to say before we finish this interview?
Yeah, I mean, one is I appreciate the opportunity. You know, two is, you know, I learned so much from you, you know, through the coaching classes and the leadership coaching training that we did, and coaching for managers. You know, and I know it made a big difference in a lot of the people that, you know, attended the sessions. And, you know, they all took away a little bit or a lot. So I appreciate, you know, you including me, and I appreciate you sharing what you've shared with me over the years. And my job is to continue that.
Yes, and I appreciate you and the quality of the leader you are and the difference you make to all of the people that I know I have heard over the years, but also for taking the time to do this interview. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Up here.